In this video, we're going to look at how to turn a decimal into a fraction. To turn a decimal into a fraction, you need to understand the place value. We reviewed place value on Monday, and we looked at the place value up to the thousandths position. All right, so the number after the decimal point becomes your numerator. The denominator is typically a multiple of 10. So it's either a 10, 100, or 1,000 based on the place value of the last digit. This is important, this typical. This is important because it's typically a multiple of 10 if it is a terminating decimal. Terminating decimals have you can start off with the 10, 100, and 1,000 based on the place value. Repeating are different, and I'll show you that. So let's look at turning 0.3 into a fraction. This becomes my numerator, and my denominator is based on the place value of that position. This is the tenths, so I write it over 10. This becomes my numerator. This place value is the hundredths. So this would be written over 100. (153) over 1,000. Now the reason we see so many other types of fractions is that fractions have to be simplified. And so we will talk about simplifying later. But for instance, I'll show you that this fraction here, 14 over 100, I can divide both of these by 2 because they're both even. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. They share no common factor now, and so I can stop there. And 14 over 100 and 7 over 50 are equivalent fractions. Repeating decimals to fractions. So to turn a repeating decimal into a fraction, it follows the same steps. The number after the decimal becomes your numerator. But your denominator, instead of being over 10, 100, or 1,000, will be over 9, 99, or 999. So for example, if I had 0.3 repeating, very similar to what we had, but 0.3 in the first example was a terminating decimal. It stops there. This one, if I were to write it out, would actually look like this. So it's actually a larger number. How would I write that as a fraction? Well, the number after the decimal becomes my numerator. And my denominator, this is the 10th. This is the 10th. So instead of writing it over 10, I'm going to write it over 9. And I can simplify that because 3 and 9 can both be divided by 3. And I get 1 over 3 as my fraction. .09 repeating. Now this one might look like you would do the same thing because there's only one actual digit here that we see. But if I were to write this one out, it would be 09, 09, 09, 09, and on and on and on and on and on. So this becomes my numerator. I don't need to write 09, I can just write 9. But what is this place value? It's not the tenths, it's the hundredths. And so I would write this one over 99. I can divide both of these by 9, and I get 1 over 11 as my final fraction.